The background of the American Revolutionary War traces back to the 7 Years' War. This conflict, primarily between Britain and France, quickly spread to their colonies in North America. Although Britain emerged victorious, gaining vast territories, in North America, beneath the surface of this victory lay a massive national debt. To increase revenue, the British government significantly raised taxes. At the same time, Native Americans in North America launched uprisings against colonial settlers. To suppress the rebellion, King George III of Britain strengthened military presence in North America and imposed additional taxes on the colonies. However, as the tax burden gap between the colonies and Britain widened, colonists gradually became unwilling to comply with the British government's demands. In 1764, Britain introduced the Stamp Act and soon after imposed a tax on tea. This policy further enraged the colonists. On March 5, 1770, in Boston, British soldiers opened fire on protesting crowds, killing several civilians. The Boston Massacre stirred strong anti-British sentiment among the American people. Soon after, the Boston Tea Party became the spark that ignited deeper conflict between both sides. In February 1775, British Commander-in-Chief in North America, General Gage, was ambushed by colonial militias while marching to Lexington to suppress the rebellion. The British forces were forced to retreat. The gunfire at Lexington marked the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. Soon after, colonial militias surrounded British forces in Boston. The British attempted to mobilize troops and seize strategic positions, but their infantry suffered heavy casualties during assaults. Although the British eventually won the battle, the cost of victory forced them into a defensive posture. King George III, losing patience, ordered the full Imperial Army to suppress the rebellion, froze American overseas assets, and banned American ships from entering British ports. At the same time, Britain dispatched 20,000 regular soldiers and 10,000 German mercenaries to North America. In the following months, fighting in Boston continued until George Washington led the Americans to seize Dorchester Heights, forcing the British to withdraw. The British command then decided to regroup and launch a counterattack from New York. By late June, British reinforcements landed in New Jersey and encountered Washington's troops en route to New York. A major confrontation was imminent. In the battle, the British attempted to use their superior numbers to surround the colonial militias. But strong winds disrupted their flanking maneuver, and thick fog allowed about 10,000 American troops to retreat safely. Although they failed to crush the colonial army, the victorious British remained confident in their military advantage and believed they were fighting a war they were destined to win. The British established their base of operations in New York and secured their foothold. However, just as the Americans were forced into a passive position, shocking news arrived from Europe. Britain's arch-rival, France, had declared its support for the American rebellion.